Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. You are beautiful, just the way you are. Step into the love. You're illuminated by the glory of God's love. Step into the truth. From within, your abundance overflows. Our love can change one life. One life can change the world. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. So move with me. Step with me. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. So move with me. Step with me. Step into the light.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Vida Spiritual Learning Center and our Sunday message and gathering. I'm so glad you're with us here today, and glad that you're a part of this beloved community that celebrates diversity and inclusion. We meet you right where you are, heart to heart, soul to soul, mind to mind. Just delighted that you're with us today. And we are all about getting right into spiritual practices, so I wanted to share first and foremost, part of why we're here is our vision and mission. And I just want to read this out loud to you to remind everyone what it is. And I'm going to read it to you in English and in Spanish. By valuing and empowering all, we inspire a fulfilling and joyous life. Al valorar y potenciar todo, inspiramos una vida plena y alegre. And just allowing that to set the tone for our next spiritual practice. And we're delighted to have practitioner Gary Takasian here today. And Gary is going to lead us in a meditation and then an opening prayer. So take it away, Gary. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rev Kev. All right, so we're just going to invite everyone to just take a nice deep breath, to just breathe in that spirit that surrounds, that spirit that gives life to all things. And to just breathe deeply, and let's just take in a real deep breath all the way in. And hold it for just a second. And then release all the way out. And let's do that one more time. Let's breathe in. Hold for a moment. And release. And as your breathing finds its own natural rhythm, just pay attention to your out breath, because each out breath is releasing more tension, more of anything that is blocking you from making contact with that divine space within. So just continue with that nice breathing. So as we are now in September, we're going to be looking at work from many different angles, our relationship to work. And we remember too that work is done spiritually. And Ernest Holmes says, "It is not by external power, nor through objective might that our work is to be done, but through the Spirit and the law. The Spirit guides, and the law executes. So let us do our work conscientiously and thoroughly, and leave the results to that law which is perfect." And so let us focus our attention on whatever work it is that we do. And work does not have to be a job, a money-making job. Our work can be in many, many areas. But the most important part is keeping ourselves centered in that spirit. So let us now just spend a few moments and just dwell in that presence and allow ourselves to be aware of that which we do, which we bring forth, the way in which we allow Spirit to express through us. For that truly is our work. And as we continue to focus on our breathing, let us gradually bring our attention back into the room in which you find yourself. Perhaps noticing your feet on the floor, moving your head and your neck to re-ground yourself in the physicalness of your body. And so now I would just ask you to join me in this morning's invocation. And what I know right now is that we have access to this incredible power and presence, this one divine mind, this creative force that has brought all things into being. And as Reverend Sunshine is fond of saying, all means all, and that includes each and every one of us. For we are part and parcel of that which we know as the divine. And by whichever name we give it, whether it be God or Buddha, Krishna, Allah, all of the names all point to the same central spirit, that one life, that one mind. And since we partake of all of that, we have access to the power and the qualities of that divine. The wisdom, the knowledge, the order, the peace, the love. All of those aspects of the divine reside within us because we reside within the divine. And so my word this morning for each and every one of us and for our Vida Spiritual Learning Center is that we have work to do. And our work is being that expression of the divine, bringing forth all that we have, all the creative blessings that each one of us has to bring to life, to celebrate life, and to celebrate all living things. For we have that blessing within us, that creative spark that allows us to do wonders in this world. And each and every one of us is unique and individual. We all have our own blessings. We all have our own talents and abilities. And all of that at the same time that we are all a part of that one divine. And so as we go forth in our week, let us go forth with that knowledge that we share in that divine wisdom, in that divine power, in those blessings from the divine. That is our birthright. And as we just acknowledge those truths, I give thanks. Give thanks for knowing that truth and for being able to embody that truth in our lives, each and every one of us. And so this morning I am simply going to allow these words, this prayer, to be given over to the action of the law, which takes that which we give it and brings it into manifestation. And so I release those now by simply saying, and so it is, and now it is.
Thank you so much, Gary. Let's show Gary some love. Beautifully done this morning. Appreciate it. It was worth it just to be here for that, right? It was for me anyway. Thanks again, Gary. I have just a couple of announcements, as you probably noticed in your weekly email. And if you're not getting it, there's a contact list link in the chat and on the live stream. So sign on our mailing list and you'll get these weekly emails. But our friends at Ahaya Center for Spiritual Living in Pasadena are celebrating their 80th anniversary. Now, you might remember we celebrated our 50th anniversary a couple of years ago. So they're celebrating their 80th anniversary, and they're doing it in style with a benefit concert featuring Ricky Byers and Michael Gott. That is Saturday, September 24th at 4:30 p.m. at the Arcadia Performing Arts Center. Tickets start at $40. However, for all the tickets that we sell through Vida Spiritual Learning Center, we share in some of the proceeds from the benefit concert. So if you're going to go, get your tickets through Vida, and we benefit a little bit from it as well. But that's proving to be a fantastic concert and event. And then Reverend Sunshine's offering a class coming up in October. It is Living the Serenity Prayer. It is a 4-week course designed to expand your concept of God as you understand God. It is via Zoom at this point, and it's October 6, 13, 20, and 27. And the investment is $100. You can register at vidaslc.org. Reverend Sunshine's also offering a group discount. So if you bring a group of 4, the price comes down to $80 each, or $400 for that. I mean, group of 5. If you bring a group of 5, the price comes down to $400, meaning each person is only investment is only $80. So go ahead and sign up for that. That is also a fantastic experience. And being in appreciation and gratitude, I want to thank all those who serve. Our practitioner of the day, Gary Takasian, beautifully done. Thank you, Gary. I am delivering the message today, so thanks to me. But I hope you feel grateful for that as well. Thanks to folks looking after our live streams and joining us on live stream. Thanks to our Leadership Council for piloting the ship of Vida Spiritual Learning Center so beautifully. Thanks to our technical team of Gary and Barry. And thanks to all of you for joining us here today and each time we get together. And again, if this experience is inspiring to you, if it feeds you spiritually in some way, you're encouraged to donate, and your donations vitalize our Spiritual Learning Center and keep these teachings alive. You can mail your donation to Vida SLC at 1524 East Hellman Street, Long Beach, California, 90813. You can Zelle, if you have Zelle, you can Zelle to our Zelle at vidaslc.org. Or you can visit the website, which is vidaslc.org. There you can donate using a credit or debit card. There is also a donation link in the chat and on the live streams, and you can click on that link and do the same. And with that, I think it's time for today's message. So here is today's message. Well, hello, and welcome to our weekly celebration of Living Spirit at Vida Spiritual Learning Center. It is tremendous to be with you today. Now, like me, you might get asked to describe the science of mind, or Centers for Spiritual Living, or New Thought. And I do have a few bumper stickers that I can easily expand upon, like change your thinking, change your life. But one I've come to use more frequently lately is from Romans in the Bible. It says, "Do not imitate the way of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may discern what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." And I bumper sticker that down to transformation by the renewing of your mind. You know, if one's interested in transforming or in healing, and that could include physical wounds as well as metaphysical wounds, you know, if one is interested in changing one's life for the better, Yeshua taught that transformation begins in mind. Fantastic. How? How does that happen? Well, that's where the science of mind and spirit comes in. And Ernest Holmes, in the science of mind and spirit, developed an easy-to-use teaching, a philosophy, a way of life that is accessible and available to anyone and everyone. The science of mind employs scientific method to help you transform by the renewing of your mind. And just like science uses experiment to prove a hypothesis, Ernest Holmes urges you to prove Ishiwa's statement for yourself. And Ernest Holmes offers these pretty easy to understand spiritual principles, and you activate those spiritual principles using a few techniques and a few practices. And as you're doing that, you analyze your data. You notice how your thinking is changing or how it has changed and how it's changed for the better. And as your thinking changes for the better, your life changes for the better. Now, however appealing that proposal might be, for some that appears to be a lot of work. Oy. Why can't my spouse or my family or my coworkers or my therapist or my practitioner work on my consciousness? I don't know how to fix my car, so I take it to a mechanic. I don't know how to grow my consciousness, so it follows I take it to someone who does. Well, it's bad news, good news. You are the one and only one that can heal and grow your consciousness. And it turns out just a little bit of work, a little bit of effort, engaging spiritual practices, even for just a few minutes, once or twice a day, can move mountains in your consciousness. So just a little bit of meditation or a little affirmation, affirmative prayer, doing some spiritual study or reading on a daily basis, or maybe journaling as a spiritual practice on a daily basis. Or you might vision, as I do, daily, saying, what is the divine high idea for this day, my life, and what is the quality or character of that vision? You might join in sacred service as a spiritual practice. See your practitioner, as I mentioned. They're going to help you transform your consciousness. They can't do it for you. You might give as a spiritual practice or tie to what feeds you spiritually. And you might do as you are doing right now, joining in a kind of beloved community that fosters your growth in consciousness. Now, it turns out, too, at those times when you are especially challenged, when a spiritual practice feels like a lot of work or effort, when it feels like you're just going through the motions, do it anyway. Because you never know, that could be the moment that has one of the bigger impacts on your spiritual journey, on growing your consciousness. And even if it doesn't, do it anyway. So the intention is for you in spiritual practices to amplify these principles in your life. And it is for you to know and live God that is within you. And it is that God of your understanding that continues to expand and grow. And it is for you to live spirit in a way that is making you a more loving, more peaceful, more joy-filled, more compassionate presence in this plane and beyond. And it is those spiritual practices that are there for you to know and feel that at your essence, you are pure spirit. The theme that we have been working with for all of these months is Living Everyday Wonder. And the theme for September is called Living Everyday Wonder in Work. Apart from sleep, the biggest part of this human phase of your soul's journey is devoted to some form of work. And work may be as a parent or as a spouse or in a job or on a career or in some creativity or in sacred service or on your body temple or on your consciousness. So this month, the intention is for you to find the good in the work you do, to find the everyday wonder within the task, the project, the widget, the design, the conversation, the product. You find more good and take the opportunity to do all the good you can. And you do that because this is a natural extension of who you are within, a loving offspring of the Most High God. Today's message is about good work. So let's try beginning with this affirmation. I do wonderful work in the world. And you might even just simplify it to, I do wonderful work. But I do wonderful work in the world. Just affirm that for yourself. Now, one of my favorite practitioners was the beloved Clifford Giles. And Clifford made his transition many years ago. And his consciousness lives on in my heart and mind, as it does for thousands of others whose Clifford's life touched. You know, when Clifford was saying goodbye, his parting quip was always, the last thing I heard him say was, keep up all the good work. Keep up all the good work. You know, I knew Clifford to be a very active person. He was active at my home church at the time, which was North Hollywood Church of Religious Science. He was active in his children and grandchildren's spiritual communities. He was active in numerous community service organizations. And as active as Clifford was, he always had time for me or for anyone who asked. And he made it all appear easy and effortless and natural and stress-free. Now, in addition to all of Clifford's accomplishments and accolades in life, being an active service during his golden years was, you know, to his way of putting it, his life work. And that was in part because he was answering some high calling, and it was in part because he was able to integrate in his evolving consciousness anything and everything that he put effort into. For as active as Clifford was, he was that embodiment of a metaphysical law called the law of least efforts. So Clifford did not appear to be busy or rushing about. He was kind of calm and steady. He was not working harder, but he was the epitome of working smarter. You know, Gandhi famously said, I have so much to do today, I must meditate for 2 hours instead of 1. And you know, Gandhi was known for a daily schedule with which very few could keep up. And Gandhi was living that law of least efforts. Now, what happens when I am not living the law of least efforts? For example, have you ever been in a hurry and can't find something like your keys? So whatever that might be, in a highly excited state, I'm not really in my right mind. I'm anxious, I'm agitated. My thinking is, at best, scattered. My 5 sensory systems are not really functioning all that well, and I'm expending a lot of energy and not accomplishing much. So that is the opposite of the law of least efforts. How do I get back to it? Well, for me, I just take that moment, right? I become aware of the pattern of my breathing. And at first that awareness might be, my breathing is labor. But I just notice each in-breath and each out-breath. And within a few breaths, I calm down. My 5 sensory perceptions improve. My mind begins to clear, my thinking improves, and in that moment, I recall where I left my keys. So operating contrary to the law of least efforts is kind of draining, it's unsustainable, it's certainly not as productive as you could be, and at times, you know, even for me, this was or is, you know, perhaps a daily experience. Whether it's on the job or at home or in relationship or in learning or in play or even my work on consciousness. You know, for Clifford and Gandhi, you and I and for you and I, there is more to the law of least efforts. You know, it's kind of a misinterpretation, a misapplication of the law of least efforts to dismiss the task at hand because it's too difficult. You might just say, well, the law of least effort says this should be easy, it looks hard, I better not do this. That's not how the law works. Applying the law of least effort means you pay particular attention, you bring to conscious awareness to what your surface layer thinking that is often falsely perceiving as a lot of work, as a lot of effort. So you're going to bring that to conscious awareness, and then there are going to be, or there is at least an intention, when that work flows with an ease and an effortlessness. And the law of least efforts affirms that you are going in the right direction, or this work is growing your consciousness. So how do you do that? How do you put the law of the least efforts into play? Well, first it's just to say this work before me is before me for some reason. Perhaps a reason I haven't fully divined, right? And you may ask, well, what is important or timely about this work? I mean, whether it's the earth plane aspect of this work or whether it's work on the spiritual plane that I'm called to do. Second is, as I mentioned, to set that intention that the work integrates deeper meaning or value. It might begin as a broad meaning or value, something like, the work I do benefits myself and others. Not sure what that might be, but I'm just going to set that intention, that it is of a benefit to myself and others. Or you might say, anything worth doing is worth doing well. So a general intention might be enough. And you might get more specific. Remember, part of the power of affirmation is to make definite the infinite. You might call to mind some specific ways the work you intend to do benefits yourself and others, right? This work creates, this working system. This work creates a piece of furniture. This work makes a safe and clean environment for myself and others. This work expands my consciousness. And it expands my consciousness as I acknowledge and appreciate other beings on their spiritual journey. And third, take a moment to vision the work, right? Take a moment to ask, what is the divine high idea for this work I am about to do? And as that idea fills your inner vision, notice the qualities of God, those positive feelings, those inward feelings that now come alive. Whether it's affluence or order or safety or peace or freedom or fulfillment or wisdom or well-being or compassion. This is what evolves from your vision catching that high idea about whatever it is, including this work that is before you. So by taking that moment to prepare your consciousness to renew your mind, you transform the ordinary to the extraordinary. You transform any work into good work. And now your affirmation is, my good work is a wonder to behold. My good work is a wonder to behold. Over and above what is being accomplished on the earth plane, it is the consciousness with which you go about an activity that makes all the difference. That was what Clifford epitomized, transforming his work into good work. And that helped Clifford become super productive. It helped infuse his work with heart. And more than a third of every day of his life became a labor of love, an activity of living spirit. And what is true for you is true for Clifford, that you too can make that third of every day a labor of love, an activity of living spirit. There are times when ordinary work stretches and stresses, and the work has you in a kind of an emotional runaway, that the work has you kind of disconnected or withdrawn from those around you, or missing the greater meaning or value of the work. Well, good work means the work is transforming into the constructive, positive opposite of all of that. Good work means the work is at times meditative and contemplative. The activity has your complete focus, so much so that those good feelings, those God qualities abound. And good work means the work is connective, that no matter the activity, no matter what is accomplished on the earth plane, that you're really fully attuned to the world and the people around you, that you're in collaboration with the natural realm while in communion with the supernatural realm. So do not imitate the way of this world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may discern what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. As Clifford says, keep up all the good work. So let's turn our attention inward right here and right now. And I just call to mind that aspect of the divine that is a positive energy. It is a propelling energy. It is a motivating energy. It is an energy of vitality, of life itself. And that aspect of God is living spirit. It is living spirit living you. It is living spirit living me. And that aspect of the divine is everywhere and within. It surrounds and indwells all there is. It propels. It moves along. It makes motion out of the infinite. And it is universal. It is an intelligence and a compassion that really exceeds all understanding. And knowing God to be everywhere, I know that I am one with living spirit and I am one of living spirit. And what is true for me is true for all beings everywhere, and therefore it is true for you too. That you and I are living spirit as spirit is living us. We are in that flow of the all good, the presence and power, the light and love of God. So I speak my word with that connection, with that unification. I speak my word that all work in life transforms into good work. I speak my word that work elevates to a field of play with the infinite creative. I know and trust my efforts are guided toward a higher good. My intention is to take any opportunity to heal and grow my consciousness in any way that it appears. I commune with living spirit in all my good work as living spirit lovingly collaborates with me. For that is a holy circulation of the one life. So blessing the world as I am blessed, I say thanks for this answered prayer. Thanks for this communion in spirit. And I lovingly release this all into the law of mind and action, knowing as it is spoken, it is so. It is working and playing right here and right now for you and for me. That revelation of the light and love of living spirit is happening right now, right where you are, right where I am. And so it is, and now it is. Amen. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week. If any of this resonated with you and you feel called to donate to What Feeds You Spiritually, here's the ways in which you can donate. Anything is greatly appreciated, and know that your donations keep this teaching going and keep our community growing. So thank you so much for that. We will see you same time next week, and you have a wonderful week. Farewell. Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate you indulging my message today. For those, just a reminder, for those that want prayer with a practitioner on our Zoom side, just let us know and we will pair you up and put you into a breakout room. For those on the live stream that want to join the Zoom, there are links in the events to join us, especially if you want prayer that way. Otherwise, there is a link to a prayer request form, and if you fill that out, we will know the spiritual truth for you. So we will close in another prayer. It's a prayer we sing, and you know, a prayer raised in song is a prayer prayed twice. So here we go.
This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this week. We'll see you next week. Please visit our website at vidaslc.org. So long to all you folks in the live stream.